Ocean and Mr. Kofi Bentil and Professor Gyampo, CEO of National Shapers Authority. As I say, for media, and so I know Yamina make on Diango for us and their target Legon Bataza, better no Yanka once one and episode could share with Twitter could be train Komobi. A fan, necessary horny nursing and midwifery association for Chumam Money Health Ministry, any NDC Abano. Enya wentwe abusua ene na committee na mu ene na press conference na mu na minister kase na committee kase na nurses for no so kase atese akwakoye twuma mentwe pa na kam yakwakoye sese the nurses and midwifery association no mu believe said the minister na was enko bo health sector no ho ban abo nurses ho ban no asem bia ba na se awe boni bia eba wo mo so because of politics intino on person mu save wo face intino on person mo the assembly police case at the expenses of the safety of the health practitioners now on adwuma away various hospital on a bio so no equipment also multimedia adwuma facilities on aban no into being provided sa niema ne nyina ntino asem bi ba ya no person mo ya eblemu omo nurses and doctors and nobody and your fault no be sure but I come to train a course no got to a point to say na kwa twuma mentwe e wo ho because of Bentil was of the views that onim the a fat small boy na friend Raf no ho is NDC for intimi in your money a man warning even I was a channel kra na man some kind of warning be serving in the first place so bo bi so humble bi so buni semo wambu bi semo so wako hospital hachi camera patients confidentiality wako de no nko ade at least was enka etina wetimi etututu na no kakra na yehu how I be see afa so na ya caution no ebeboa ama nkofofofo ntimi enkokoye sare ne no ena legon bataza se da bi oba be chire mu abusia and you also so didn't tire mu ne na ne namfa. In a nutshell, he was trying to defend the actions of RAFs and nurses for negligence and also no and could do Kofi Bentil say come out say masa one you have no moral right set over because in some way Afghana nurses home any idea that was young heard the way and come a coin and I there's no SCE panam de broha so better than what in some we actually wide comment sessions.
This matter is about hospital security, 1. And 2, assault and battery, period. Why do I say so? If you run a hospital of any shape and size, it is your responsibility to make sure that the people who work in that hospital are safe and that they are not vulnerable to anybody who walks inside, regardless of their cause, to assault them or do anything to them. What their issue is different. And to the extent that you have a major regional hospital in that space, that place, given the people and everything that goes on there, to think that anybody could walk in there, bypass hospital security, go in and attack a nurse for any reason is wrong.
Because one private security person per 12-hour shift. That's what they had in place.
Wrong. And look, when people are sick, you don't know what is wrong with them. All kinds of things could be their problem.
Yeah.
So you should have in mind that in a place, I'm trying not to use the terms, there are emotional intensifiers. Okay, how do you explain that? Given the circumstance, people's emotion. If your child was hurt and you were carrying them into that place, you are not in the right frame of mind. And people handle these pressures differently. Some people can lash out. In other places, people fire guns. Number one issue is hospital security. The security of the facility and the security of the people working in the facility. So to that extent, the committee should be asking, how was it possible that somebody could walk into that hospital and not be accosted angrily, and then the person could actually reach to medical staff and assault them? Now, assault does not require touching the person. Assault is when you put anybody in apprehension for their safety. That is scare. If anybody scares anybody, that is assault. You can sue for that and get compensation for that. So to the extent that you're in a hospital where people are emotionally upset, you should expect that it's a space where there can be a lot of assault on your staff. And your staff, particularly because they are handling lives, should not be susceptible to that. They should be trained about that and how to handle and bring it down. But there should be protection for them against assault. And I'm talking about people shouting at them, screaming at them.
So the threat of assault in itself is assault.
Assault is a threat.
And the action, even regardless of the action taking place,
good.
The fact that there is an intent to do so.
Not even intent. Assault is when you put somebody in fear of their safety. I use the ordinary term. Assault is when you scare somebody.
Mm-hmm. So if you go closer, it says when you are about to hit, it has to be close, not from a. So when you are close,
then you put the person in fear. I'm trying not to give a law lecture, but
okay, yes.
See, in the space of a hospital, I'm saying all the kind of things that can happen. So you must have people around to protect your people, even if they'll not be hit. Because if you scare somebody and whatever, they can make some mistakes. Then there is battery. Battery is where you touch the person when they haven't asked you to touch them. Okay, and when you touch the person, the issue is not whether her hand was dislocated or not.
Does it matter?
It does not matter. It matters in a different sense because it happens to be somebody. But the issue is to the extent that they were touched to the point where that was potentially possible, means that person could have been hit unconscious. So finding out that she was dislocated or not dislocated is important. But in this issue, it doesn't matter because if she was touched, if she was hurt in any way, what it means is that all kinds of possibilities could have happened. So for me, the first issue, the most important issue here is hospital security and the security of the personnel. The gentleman involved, this is a necessary or important circumstance, clearly has a history. He has a history of what I'll call extreme activism. Okay, I have seen one or two clips on social media.
You mean Ralph Williams?
Ralph, yeah. He went and was speaking to somebody on the roadside. I don't want to give too much detail. Yeah, I have seen him in other situations where he was, I don't want to call him an activist. We are all activists. And I don't think we go around doing things like that. And I think much as we all want things to be better, we should all tone down and then move slowly but surely. But the point I want to make is that given that the person has a certain history, okay, it is not a situation that is offhand. Okay, he is more likely than you to do that. Okay, so it comes down to our systems and how we handle and treat people like this. If you ask me, I would say we should give every benefit of the doubt to the hospital and the staff there. Okay,
right.
And again, like we are talking about dealing with people and that kind of thing, Ralph may be right. This is not the way to do it. And so he has to answer some questions. So he will stop doing these things, and he will not empower or will not encourage other people. There are many angry people in Ghana, and some have more capacity to do more than what he's done. So if you let some of these things slide, tomorrow you have bands and armies walking into hospitals and demanding that somebody do surgery on a motor rider. I speak as somebody whose father died as a result of medical malpractice. Yes. Wow. It turned out somebody made a mistake at night and injected my father with the wrong medicine.
Hey.
Yes. Okay, so it's not an easy matter for me. But at the end of the day, we have all the kinds of pressures that we have. Okay? It still does not justify you taking it out on a nurse or medical practitioner. We know that they have their own stresses. But there must be a process for dealing with that. And that is the issue. What is the process? Assuming Ralph had a case, assuming indeed something happened that shouldn't have happened and it was affecting him, what was his process for dealing with it without attacking them? All right? And I agree with Prof Gyampo that, look, in other places, I teach services marketing, handling hospitals and services, when you have, like I said, exigencies and emotional intensifiers, it is never right in an emergency to ask the person to go and do a card, and I've seen it myself too. I have been to hospitals.
If you don't have a card in a hospital,
it is wrong. You come to a hospital, you are in an emergency. The first thing is treat the person, and then you can deal with the issues later. And we have all experienced that in other places. When you go into an ER, in fact, the first thing they do is to put a tag on your hand. Okay, and they'll ask, if you can't speak, they'll ask whoever brought you, what is your name? Very basic information.
Yeah.
Put a tag on your hand, and then straight you are undergoing treatment. In situations I've experienced, whilst you're undergoing treatment, they check whether you can give other information. Somebody comes there to come and take the information. But here somebody is bleeding and you're asking them for NHIS card or whatever it is. It's wrong. We should stop that thing. All right. But again, the point is, if even somebody is mistreated, okay, not properly handled, and all those other things, what is the room they have to complain? How quickly can they complain? Where are the remedies, so that we don't lose lives and that kind of thing?
Sometimes patients are frustrated in the hospital, and if somebody is in pain like that and is frustrated, he may overreact. And I'm saying that we should act cautiously when we are frustrated, especially when we are dealing with medical health practitioners who may also be working under intense pressure. And I've said that I've seen a medical doctor shedding tears. I've seen some nurses shedding tears because some patients died, and simply because they felt they could have done something to help, but they did not have the needed medication and equipment to intervene. So sometimes they are under pressure. We too, we go to hospital, we are under pressure. We should all manage our pressure so that we don't go to in a bit to vent our frustration, also abuse the nurses. But the nurses there, and I'm not talking about medical, but nurses must behave humanely when it comes to dealing with patients. If somebody comes to hospital, you should know that right from the word go, the person is not all right. And so let us have a way of acting responsibly. Sometimes you can see that somebody is in pain and a nurse is sitting somewhere doing WhatsApp conversation. Somebody is in pain and nurses are not bothered about it. Why? Because they have seen people in pain over and over and over and over. They've seen people die over and over and over. So they don't get the kind of, they don't get to react in a manner that patients would ask them, expect them to react. But all these things they don't speak to a certain sense of professionalism that we expect nurses to display when patients come to the hospital. The UJMC dental clinic, I was there 2 weeks ago. They were a manner. They were talking to me that we are coming to do this to you. It will pain you a little. It's just going to be like a needle. And then please take it easy. Then they will calm you down. Things that you were expecting to show some paranoia, they managed to make you calm, and they spoke to you nicely. And so I commend them. But nurses must learn how to communicate and talk to patients when they come to hospital. Otherwise, people who are frustrated may then resort to other attitude or reactions that may be abusive. I've had medical doctors telling me that sometimes we want to do more, but we don't have the facilities, and so there is nothing much that you can do, and as you look on when people are dying. And then some of the nurses too, sometimes they are tired, sometimes they face the same limitations of not having access to the right tools and medications to do their work. Compared to elsewhere, you go to hospital and then even the way and manner they talk to you, the way and manner they receive you, begins your healing process. But sometimes in our part of the world, you go. I've been to a hospital where I've had to quarrel with the nurse because I said, but why? Is it that I've offended you? Because she was so I had to begin to yell at her, asking me unnecessary questions and stressing me more. I started yelling. But there was an incident that happened. I had gone to the Sopon Hospital to visit a friend's son who had been admitted. I was standing there. And then growing up, my mother used to tell me that I used to convulse a lot. And so when I begin to convulse, they would carry me, climb that hill and send me to that hospital. That's how come I went to adopt the accident and emergency ward of that hospital, because I was told that every now and then I was rushed there. So I was at the accident and emergency ward, and I saw some people carrying a small boy who was convulsing and foaming, in their arms, like on their arms, and then rushing to that hospital. They go to the hospital, they approach the nurse, and the nurse was just standing there. our national health insurance card, I card, asking when somebody was dying, but in asking some, to my mind, very unnecessary questions. When I was thinking that they would have rushed and treated the boy who was dying and was foaming, you know, with emergency emergency approach. They were asking some unnecessary questions. So I had to stop whatever I was doing. I went there, and I'm saying that. So if you are frustrated about the way and manner they do things there, see, if you don't take care, you may act in a manner that would also be abusive. Okay, I was very angry. I went there, yelled at this nurse, and then before she sat up, administered some infusions and did a few things, and then to stabilize the body. I had to yell at her first. Okay, so my point is that the guy who went there to do these things, I'm thinking that, look, sometimes it's frustrating when you go to a hospital, but that does not create any license. It doesn't give you license for you to also be abusive towards the nurses. The nurses must be socialized into appreciating the fact that, look, if you begin to speak to patients well, if people come and you are very receptive towards them, it begins their healing process. But sometimes some nurses, they see you and they behave like they have an issue with you already, and they are throwing you off, and we don't care. They say all manner of things.